Hey everyone, welcome back to Brown Coat Nerd. Today we've got another review for you, but only for the third time. We're going to be reviewing a non-surplus firearm. And what we have in front of us is let me take a deep breath, a CZ75 P-07 Duty. Yes, that was the full name of this gun when it first came out, which is a bit ridiculous and long-winded. Most people just call it the P-07. And actually, now the new quote unquote Gen 2 versions of this gun are simply called the P-07. They got rid of the whole CZ75 and the Duty. They've dropped that, which was smart because it's just stupid. So, this gun, I'll go into story time here. This particular one holds a special place in my heart. I grew up in a small town in Kansas. My father was a big hunter. It just didn't strike me. I didn't really get into the whole hunting aspect. I enjoyed shooting, but pretty much it was, if you're not hunting, why am I going to waste time on teaching you how to shoot kind of deal, I think. So I just kind of forgot about guns. And many, many years later, I was in my, mid-20s, late 20s. A good friend of mine took me out. He had an AK-74. His brother had a few firearms. But I started shooting with him again and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot this was, freaking fun. I'd shot a few times in between, but very rarely. And so one of the handguns he had was a CZ75 P-07 Duty. And it was the first time I'd ever even heard of CZ. This was the birth of Brown Coat Nerd. I was new to the gun world. And I shot that P-07, and I absolutely fell in love with that gun. He had actually purchased it from his brother. I think he had just picked it up, so he was pretty excited to take it out shooting. And I just found I was very accurate with that gun. At this time, I believe I picked up a Smith & Wesson SD40VE. And to be honest, I wish I still had that gun because I'd love to do a review on it. It gets a lot of hate. It's called the Smith & Glock. It's basically a copy of a Glock. And it's a cheaper gun. It definitely wasn't the most accurate for me. I discovered shooting, slightly nicer guns that I was more accurate. But at the same time with that Smith & Wesson, just real quick, I never had any issues with it. That thing ate every single kind of ammo I fed through it. I think it gets a little more hate than it should, but I'm not saying it's, a competition gun. But anyways... So, shooting the CZ after the Smith, I was like, ooh, okay, I really like this. And so then my buddy who had the P-07 calls me up one day and he's like, hey, my brother, the guy I bought the P-07 from, he's selling his CZ75. And he's like, it's the exact same gun, just, all steel. Or actually, no, he didn't even tell me that. He was fairly kind of new to guns, too. So he told me it was the exact same gun, just chambered in 40 Smith & Wesson. Excuse me. So I went to go pick it up, and I don't have it here with me. I've done a review on it, so you guys all know what it is. But the CZ75B in 40 Smith & Wesson. Obviously, I picked it up, and I was like, okay, this is not the exact same gun. But screw it, I'm already a fan of CZ. And so I had that gun for quite a while, quickly fell in love with it, took no time at all. But then my buddy that had introduced me to CZ with his P-07, he called me up and he was, times were tough and he needed to get rid of it. And so he sold it to me. So guys, this is the first CZ7, or not CZ75, but CZ period I ever shot, this particular one. So that's why this gun kind of holds a special place in my heart. And yes, I normally apologize for having band-aids and crap on my hand. This time I got a little soft cast. Apologies. Anyways, though, I just love this gun. I've often told you guys I'm more of a collector than I am a shooter. Obviously, I shoot everything that's in my collection. But I will brag a little bit. My buddy Doug, I believe it was still when it was his gun. But we took a cigarette. Yes, I used to smoke. I've since quit. Put it in a little plastic cap. We put it out. What was that, Doug? Like somewhere between 5 and 8 yards, probably. Not that far. Yes, I know. And we're going to see how many shots it takes us to hit that cigarette. My first shot I missed. My second shot was so close that it blistered the side of the cigarette. and my third shot, I shot it clean in half. I've got pictures to prove it. I promise it happened. I know it wasn't that far out, but especially me as a new shooter back then, it made my day. And I'm not going to lie, if I did that again tomorrow, I'd still be happy as all hell about it. But anyways, so this gun actually kind of has sentimental value for me in that aspect. So a little bit on the history of the CZ75 P-07 Duty. Production began in 2009, so obviously it's a fairly new gun. This particular one, I do believe, is from 2011. I am not positive on this, but I am pretty sure that little number there, right before the proof mark and the serial number, is the production year on your newer CZs. So I believe, not 100% positive, this particular one was made in 2011. These were also the first CZ to have the Omega trigger system, so that was kind of a change up from the traditional CZ75. And the cool thing about that was right now this has the decocker on it. So you know your traditional CZ75, the hammer's back, you flip the safety up and you know, you're cocked and locked. Well, you can set it up that way on these, or you can have a decocker put on it. And so you're kind of given the option when you bought these. I don't know if they still do that anymore, but they have put in the little decocker lever, there we go, as well as the safety lever. Now, once again, when I first got this gun, I was all about the whole hammerback safety on. And so I was a little bummed out to see that this had the decocker lever on there. The guy I bought it from was like, I promise I'll get a hold of my brother and I'll get the safety for you, because that's how I wanted it set up. I did not want the decocker. When I first got into guns, I thought decockers were stupid. Shows you how much I've come along. I'm happy he never found that safety, because this is the setup I would prefer to have it in, is with the decocker. When I first got into guns, sorry, this whole review is going to be like a little flashback episode for you guys. Hey, I've been locked up for a while. What can I say? COVID-19 is going on right now. Not that I got out of the penitentiary or anything. Just wanted to clear that up in case that's how it sounded. But when I first got into guns, I did not want a gun that did not have a manual safety. It was like a thing that was in my head for some reason, and I just steered away from guns that did not have any kind of manual safety. Now, if it's a gun I'm going to carry or something, the last thing I want on it is a manual safety. You know, the safety is your finger and keeping it off the trigger. But that's my school of thought. I'm not saying I am right. You guys are like, oh, well, I believe this. Okay, that's cool. You know, many different schools of thought on that. Just kind of show you how far I've come since owning this gun. So it's in the setup I like now. But like I said, even if you got a newer one and it did not come with the safety, I'm pretty sure you still can buy them from CZ. I'm sure they're fairly cheap. And you can have that safety installed on there if that's how you want it. Or you can have the decocker. And that is ambidextrous. Which, I mean, I think that's just kind of nice just to have, you know, options. Who doesn't like options? So on this particular one, did the trigger pull. Now, once again, I've mentioned this also in other videos. I'm using this lineman trigger pull gauge here. I feel like it might be a little off because the weights I'm getting on a lot of these guns are really light. And so I'm just a little skeptical. But with my lineman trigger pull gauge, for the double action trigger pull, the average out of 5 pulls was 4 pounds, 2.6 ounces. And then the average out of 5 trigger pulls for the single action was an even 2 pounds. And this does have a very nice, light, crisp trigger. I absolutely love this trigger. This is probably one of my more accurate guns. Out of all the guns I have, handguns at least, this is definitely in the top 3 for me on accuracy at least. So then 2004 came along. They did kind of come out with a quote-unquote Gen 2 version of the P-07. So the new Gen 2 got a better finish. And I'm going to go ahead and say it was a better finish. This finish, for looks, I like. It's very Batman-y, for the lack of a better word. But it's just kind of this flat black. It's coming across the little kind of brown almost on the camera here. But it's a flat black finish. Now, one of the problems, and this is not the only example, see how that finish did not kind of get on the back serrations there. I've seen that brought up on several videos, especially for these first gen CZs. You can see a lot of wear there. The finish on these, it just wasn't the best. It wasn't applied the best. So the new finish they have on them now is almost kind of a semi-gloss gray, and it's got maybe just a little bit of almost texturing in the finish. It looks like a nice finish. To me, it looks a lot better quality. And I think I have heard some people comment about, that are doing reviews on the newer ones, just that it is a better quality. At least the quality control on getting everything covered in it was better. Another thing they changed was the name. I do believe on the new ones it just simply says P-07. They got rid of the CZ75. I think they were just trying to cash in on the fame of the 75. They got rid of the duty on the name too because, duty. Who doesn't like to say duty? Now, I will say these do not come color-filled. I know some people are just looking at this and rolling their eyes and screaming. I have discovered some people absolutely hate color fill. Now, for me, on some guns, I think it looks nice. Other guns, it's kind of like, it doesn't really irk me any way or the other. Here's the deal. All of the guns I have are, have historical value. So I try to leave them original. This is like one of 2 new production guns I have. So let me just have fun with it. I get a chance to tinker around. I want to do something. So like I said, they got rid of the duty name. Duty. They also added some serrations to the front of the slide, which, I never really used, the front slide serrations on any guns that I have. Actually, right now I don't have any. That old Smith & Wesson had it, I believe. But once again, I just like that being there just in case for whatever reason you need to, have it there. It's really not going to impede on anything other than maybe looks, which once again, I kind of prefer the look of the first gen because the serrations on the top, this has got a really weird cut slide. I don't think I cleaned this since the last time I shot it. It's just very angular. You guys are going to laugh. It makes me think of the F-117 stealth bomber. You guys remember that? It was all super angularly. And the gun along with that finish just makes me think of that. So the newer P-07s that have the serrations along the slide there, that kind of interrupts those lines. You don't get that cool look. But that's just a look. That does nothing for function. And I always say, you should be concerned more about how the gun functions than the way it looks. And I'm doing nothing but talking to you right now and telling you how much more I like the first gen simply and purely because of looks. But it is what it is. So along with the upgrades, let's see the front slide serrations. Also, the sights got an upgrade. Thank God. That is my one complaint about the CZ, especially, just the first gen. These stock sights are complete garbage. Now, obviously, you can order different packages on your CZ, but these are your basic sights for the first gen CZ. They are plastic, and they are kind of the little U Glock style, and they're just crap. You can see this is all peeling. It's chewed up. I'm still, able to be accurate with this gun, but god dang, that's just embarrassing. So obviously I do eventually plan on updating these sights. But the newer P-07s, they get metal sights, and they are also a 3-dot, I believe. They ditched the little U rear notch, which, I'm not really sold one way or the other. As long as I can see the sights, I'm happy. So they got better sights. The hammer got redesigned as kind of more of a flat triangular hammer, which, I can't tell you if I'd really prefer one over the other at all. The trigger also got a redesign. It does not curl out nearly as much, which for some people, I could see that being a huge, seller. This gun has been safety checked. It's a pain in the ass with this thing on, just so you all know. Because this trigger is curved quite a bit, So I'm very curious how the flatter trigger would feel in my hand. I don't think they actually did anything to the trigger mechanism on it, though. They just simply changed that shape, which for some people might be a big deal. And now I will say, after shooting this all day at the range, and this is one of those guns that you can very easily just shoot all freaking day at the range. I do remember my finger kind of getting sore on that trigger just because it's such a radical curve. So, I might actually change that trigger out, because this isn't a surplus gun. I can do whatever the hell I want to it. I can do that to surplus too, but I don't want to. So the trigger design got changed out, and then the other big change, like all modern guns, you have to have the interchangeable back strap. So the first gen does not have that at all. The new one does. I believe it comes with 3 different size panels. I don't know where the factory on the first gen would land on those sides. Interchangeable sides. I keep saying side, and I'm trying to say size, so I'm just going to let it go. Does have a lanyard loop, because what kind of a duty gun would it be without a lanyard loop? Now, I do believe that some of the newer ones come without this, or it might come with it. I'm sure you can order a flat one from CZ if that really bugs you, or just Dremel it off. You will see these pop up on the surplus market once in a while, which I do find interesting. Mosencrate just got some of these not too long ago. And they were the first gen, but they were actually police surplus pistols, which I thought was pretty cool, and now I need to get one. Another thing just to point out, too, for all of you weird lefties, the magazine catch or release, it is ambidextrous. You can pop that out, excuse me, and put that on the other side there. I did also color fill the mag. I don't like the new CZ logo with the gun. I like the old logo. What do you guys think? But anyways, so this particular one came with a 16 round mag. I see them coming quite often with a 15 round mag. And then of course I've also seen them available with a 10 round mag. That's just to make the different states happy that have their stupid magazine capacity limits. I live in a free state locally, so I don't have to worry about that. We'll go ahead and just point out, as I first got into these with them being CZs and everything, I thought it was pretty cool. I was a little baffled by the Made in Czech Republic CZ USA Kansas City, Kansas. I was like, what the hell is this all about? Are they assembled in Kansas City? So basically what that is they kind of like did what Breda USA did. Basically they set up a company called CZ USA, and they're importing the CZs. I see a lot of people say, oh, the parts are made in the Czech Republic and then they're assembled in Kansas City. No, they're just imported into Kansas City. I don't know if at any point there you might start manufacturing them in the U.S. I have no clue. But I always thought that was pretty cool. Another funny thing is there's a ton of CZ clones out there. I can't remember if it was TriStar or Tangfolio, but one of the other big CZ clone companies, and a lot of these companies that make CZ clones, they're not bad. They're actually really nice, sometimes better. Israeli Jericho. But one of the really popular CZ clones, they set up a U.S. importer, and it's in Kansas City, Missouri. Which is like, did they plan that? Did they pull that crap on purpose? You know, I just thought it was very interesting and kind of funny. And for you that are not from the Midwest, Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri, picture one large city, a river that runs down almost the middle of it. That river happens to be the state line. So one side you got Kansas City, Kansas, that has, you know, the NASCAR Speedway. And if there's any soccer fans, Sporting KC. And then KC Mo, which has got, you know, the Royals, Chiefs, Sprint Center, even though I don't think it's called Sprint Center anymore. I think Sprint is no more. Anyhow, yeah, figure out where the hell I'm from. So I always thought that was kind of a cool added bonus. You know, I was already into the Cold War crap. CZ-75s are the Czech Republic are really well known. And Kansas City's got some of the best damn barbecue. So, win-win. Like I said, this came with a 16-round mag. You have different mag options. Now, just so you know, they do sell, and I've been seeing this a lot lately. When I first got this gun, I couldn't find any extended mags anywhere. But obviously, that was years ago, and these have gotten quite popular. Also, footnote, the P-09 is basically this exact same gun, but just a little bit longer slide and barrel and a little bit longer grip. So it's just kind of like the full size. This is the in-between size. But I couldn't find extended mags anywhere. I have seen some now that have like a small little extended base plate, get a few extra rounds. But just so you know, CZ-75 mags, and I've seen people say they don't work, they do work. They will work just fine. I have function tested these. They stick out. They look a little goofy. This one's obviously for a Jericho, but, you know, still CZ75 mag. All the same. So, also, years ago when I had first got this, I ended up breaking my freaking hand. And that sucked. And that's why my pinky is crooked. So, once I got out of the cast finally, I wanted to get back into shooting. My pinky was like really crooked. It's gotten a little bit crooked now. But it straightened out a little bit. But what I did is I bought this extended mag. Just so you know, yeah, I tried to do the color fill. This has like a different finish. Like a non-stick finish. And color fill did not work so well on this. This is a Metgar, I do believe. Yeah, Metgar. +2, so this is 18, 17. I think it's actually 18 though. Yeah, pretty sure it's 18. So, what I did, just so you know, if this grip is a little too small for you and for some reason you have a crooked pinky like I did for a while, I went ahead and bought this. I got a Hogue slip-on grip. Now, I believe this is the universal one. I also want to say it was for a Glock, so it might be the same model that's universal is also for the Glock, or it's just for the Glock. But I slid this on there, and this fits on there perfectly flush. You can use this little Hogue slip-on grip with the flush-fitting mags. But then I bought another one of these. These things are freaking dirt cheap. And that I bought another like kind of thinner one, universal one, and I cut it. And I used 3M double-sided adhesive foam tape, and I wrapped it around here, and I had to build up that foam a little bit, get that kind of flush with the rest of the grip, and then I added on the Hogue little rubber strip dip. And it looked ugly as sin. Most comfortable gun to hold, though. So if you have big hands, and for whatever reason you have a P-07, something you might want to think about, you could just use the extended mag on there, you know, gives you some room. But you can wrap it with that Hogue grip stuff and just actually kind of make it really comfortable. Now, one thing I will point out, I had that Hogue grip on there for many, many years. Never had any issues with this gun. All of a sudden, the slide would not lock back on the last round. Even changed out springs in the mags, and I was just completely baffled by it. And then I started to think, what if somehow this had something to do with it? I didn't want it to because this was really comfortable. The original grips, the sides are just completely flat, and this has like a little bit of a blister in the grip. I mean, it was just like this grip was made perfectly for this gun. Absolutely loved it. And also, after a long, solid day of shooting, the stippling on the back strap here, it'd kind of start to jack up the palm of my hand a little bit. Not really jack it up, like not visibly, but it'd be like a little tender, it's a little tenderizer. I mean, that could easily be fixed with a Dremel or some like Talon grips, which is probably what I'm going to do. So anyways, like I said, it wasn't locking open on the last round. And so one day I just said, screw it, and I slid this off. That was actually like 2 weeks ago, maybe. Because it's really starting to frustrate me. And lo and behold, guys, it will... Oh, no. Are you kidding me? Okay. Well, shite. I thought I fixed it. So I slid that grip off, and immediately I realized I was able to lock the slide back. See, but those two have newer springs in them. All right, well, the other thing I noticed with that grip on there, the mags weren't dropping free. They are dropping free now. And I have shot this gun a lot, so hell, maybe that mag spring is jacked up. But I will say, with the grip on there, both this mag and this mag, and this has a Wolf Springs upgraded extra power spring in it. This is just a pretty darn new mag compared to the originals that came with the P-07. And all of a sudden, these were locking open with the empty mag. Sure, I'm going to have to dig out my other original CZ mag, play around with that some more. Thought my problem was completely fixed, so I was like, screw it, I'll do the video. Yeah, ain't that a bummer? But I feel better because the other two mags now work just fine. Oh my God, it's like I'm back in the original. I'm trying to do something here. I'm trying to lock the slide back, but I'm all gimped up right now, so I'm having issues. Sorry to shake everybody like that. That was rude. Just want to pop this in there and see if... Yeah, it doesn't even catch. Or wait, no. It would do that. It's designed to do that. This is what I was trying to do. All right, well, it's locking open for that. So, if you get one of these, pay attention to the mag springs. They might wear out. I have put a lot of rounds through this gun, so that's kind of what I assumed. What threw me off was when I got this mag, and I threw in, and it would not lock open on this one, and then I threw in the Extra Power Wolf mag spring, which I could barely even load this mag at first. Holy crap. And it would not lock open for that one either. But it does now. The original ones are still acting a little goofy. As far as accuracy, like I said, guys, this is definitely in the top 3 most accurate handguns that I have in my collection. I love this gun. I will not get rid of it. I almost thought about it a few times. This is the first CZ I shot, though. I love her. She's fun. It does have an accessory rail. I don't know if I mentioned that. You know, it's not real long, so just in case you're wondering, that's what a TRL 1S looks like on it. Yeah. Don't know what else to tell you on this, guys. It's a pretty good little gun. They're very affordable. They are not expensive at all. I think like brand new, they're like around 500 or just under. And so especially for some of the new ones, I feel like that's a steal. Oh, one thing I meant to point out, with some of the first gens, if you're out there looking in the used market, you might come across a couple of first gens that have an extended barrel. And it looks like it's supposed to be, you know, a threaded barrel or something for a suppressor, but it's not threaded. Now, they did make some of these with the extended barrels that were threaded and the, you know, the taller sights for a suppressor. But a while back, CZ started pumping out a bunch of them, and I've only seen them on the first gen. And I actually know someone, she has one of them. But the barrel is just like, it just sticks out a little bit longer. And supposedly, what the story is on that, CZ had ordered a whole bunch of P-07 barrels with the intention of threading them and selling them suppressor ready. But then, I don't know if they weren't selling well enough or if they decided not to make as many as they originally planned. But for some reason or another, they ended up with quite a few of these slightly longer barrels that were intended to be threaded and sold in suppressor-ready P-07s. So what they did, you know, they weren't threaded yet. They didn't even bother cutting the barrels down. They just threw them in. You know, so you will find some of these with a slightly longer barrel. Now, some people might actually prefer that because it is thick enough where if you wanted to, you could thread it and, you know, use a suppressor if that's the route you're wanting to go. Also, some might argue, okay, it's just a little bit longer, but that's a little more rifling, perhaps a little more accurate. And to be honest, if I had ended up with one of those, what I would probably do is cut it back just a little bit and then just, you know, put a really nice crowning on it. But the majority of these are flush with the slide. But in case you see one of those with a slightly longer barrel, they look kind of goofy because they're not threaded and they have the standard sights on them. Those are fairly common. I don't know how rare they are. I'm sure they're not nearly as, you know, they're not as common as your standard sized barrel. But that's the whole story behind those guys. So, all right, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked this, please like and subscribe. Like I said, I usually do surplus guns. I appreciate you going down memory lane with me. This whole COVID-19 crap has had me cooped up and got me going a little crazy. So thanks for bearing with me, guys. All right, be smart, be safe, have a good one, stay shiny.